once again to Amtgard Leadership University. This time we're going to be talking to BG, Garret, Nim'Ruin, and Rellik, and we're going to be discussing Paragons. What I'd like each one of you to do, and we're going to start on the left, is quickly introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what it is, your thoughts are on Paragon. Keep it brief, to about 60 seconds. Then we're going to go down the line after introductions are done. We're going to get right at those questions. So without further ado, Rellik.
Hello, I'm Rellik from Bandit Flats East in Delaware. I'm Paragon Wizard. Paragon to me, it means showing that you are the best at your class. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to know everything the second somebody asks, but you should be able to go and recite most of the things that can be done, and you should be able to do it pretty well, especially the core mechanics of any class that you're a Paragon of.
I'm Bowlgod, or BG, please, if you care. I'm a member of the Grand Duchy of Crystal Groves. To me, being a Paragon is expanding your class. It means teaching more others how to become your class and encouraging others, providing things for them to when they want to learn and when they want to become, when they want to start being what you are.
Nim'Ruin?
Good afternoon. My name is Nim'Ruin. I am a Paragon Druid. I've actually had the pleasure of joining Amtgard at the very beginning phase of V8, so I really did not know anything of the other versions. So I was able to take it, learn from it. A Paragon should be someone who's competent in their skills in their class. Again, as Rellik says, you don't have to know everything, but you need to be competent and you should be able to teach others so you can better your class.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Garret Thornwood. I'm from Harbor of Rye. I'm a Paragon Archer. Paragon to me is a lot like what they said, but it's also about setting the example. You should, as a Paragon, you should be the person setting the bar for the class and helping people to that bar.
Okay. I'll start off with you, Bowlgod. Was Paragon a goal?
Yes, Paragon was a goal for me a long time ago, and it was one I tried to strive for, and it took me a long time to get. I'd left the game for a little while, but when I came back, I was told that, you know, if I kept playing at the caliber I played when I left, that eventually it would be something I would acquire. So I just never gave up on doing it, and I think that's important when you want to become a Paragon. It's not going to happen right away. It's not something that happens overnight, especially if you're only at your park all the time. The place you got to show off is when you're out at big events and stuff, and when you travel. That's where it shows whether you can handle, because knowing the people at your park, it's easy to manipulate what you already know they can do. So when you're out and you're seeing new people, that shows that you've actually made improvement in your class.
Garret?
Yes, actually, it was for me too. I've always had a passion for archery, and I've always it's nice to excel at something and be the top of the heap, if you will. So that's why, and like I said, you cannot be a Paragon and only go to your park on weekdays. You have to practice it all the time. I probably spent 2 to 3 hours at an archery range every day of the week in my backyard, going to the archery range, shooting, researching. Goes for anything. I know guys that sat in their cars and went over their heel spells and charging cans and practice. You have to practice constantly. A couple hours once a week isn't going to be enough.
Rellik, how about you? Was it a goal?
It was always a goal for me as well. It was actually like one of my top goals. You know, people have titles, knighthoods they want to achieve. For me, I looked at it as like, I like to be, at the time, Masterhood, now Paragon of the class. And I always wanted to be able to go, and like they said, go to events and be able to really show off 1 or 2 classes and do them well enough that other people are like, wow, that's really cool. Maybe I want to do that. Maybe this guy can help teach me, or maybe I can go home and be like, I saw this really cool healer, I saw this really cool warrior and all. And now I think we should try and practice to be that good and raise the bar of Amtgard.
How about you, Nim'Ruin?
No, it wasn't my goal at first. I'm new to the game, so I didn't see a lot of worth in a lot of the awards that people were getting, but that's from my own ignorance of the game. As I continued playing, I actually ran into a Paragon Druid. His name was Nocturnus. He actually, for me, in my opinion, embodied what a Paragon Druid should be. He taught me a lot. He taught me different classes, the counters, the soft counters. He changed my opinion of of something that I knew nothing of. And I think that was where I decided that I want to command that respect on the battlefield. So then I strived to get it, and I got it.
Nim'Ruin, I'm going to focus on you real quick. Any quick tips? It sounded like you had a good mentor in there. Any tips for someone aspiring to be a Paragon?
You need to be proficient. You need to know the basic magic skills, the states. You need to be able to take that, use it on field, and then teach somebody. You need to be able to do all of that, so you can become competent, proficient. And it's best to not forget that while you're aspiring to be one, that we play a game for fun, so don't lose that.
Okay. Bowlgod?
I think what's important for being a Paragon is just dedication. It takes a lot. I mean, like I said, you're not going to see instant results right away, but you just got to keep at it. I think it's important, like Nim'Ruin said, to be able to show others what you know already, and to be able to teach. And also, to be a Paragon, you want to be one of the first people think of when they think of your class. That's kind of important. You want to be able to show off what you can do, but at the same time, don't go out on the field at events just to show off. Go out on the field and have fun. If you're really that good at it, it's naturally going to show.
Garret, here's a question for you. It sounds like in a lot of ways that, having just completed the knighthood panel, that a lot of the same thought process and things like that, although a little more targeted to class, that you're playing, you're going to recognize them, that a lot of the same thought patterns, the devotion, the dedication, the care, and feeding, if you will, of your the skills there come into play. But it's also an award. So in Paragons, unlike having a circle of knights for knighthoods, in Paragons, do you feel that it's too much? There's too much favoritism? What are your thoughts on the mechanics, if you will, of the Paragon Award?
Paragon is an award. It is not an end of game title. It's not knighthood. It's not the end of the road, if you will. It's supposed to be recognition of the person's skill and ability in that class. Now, granted, honestly, everybody's going to have an opinion on that. Some people think, yeah, this person totally deserved it. Good job. When I was Monarch, I got that. Then on the flip side, I had almost as many people like, what the heck were you thinking? This person's awful. So you have to take, with that, is take it down a notch. This is not knighthood. It's not a title. I understand it means a lot to people. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the people on this panel. In my part, Paragons meant more than titles to them, because it basically verified all the hard work they put into the class. But it is just an award.
So Rellik, what do you do whenever you've got a Paragon that you don't respect because you don't believe that they deserved it? Do you run across that? Do you care?
I've definitely seen some people that I personally disagreed with it, but at the same time, they could be doing things at their local level. Maybe they did something at an event that I didn't see. There's not much to do except go and say, hey, you might want to brush up on this. You might want to learn this ability better. You might want to learn these spells better. Whatever it is that you think can enhance them, and if they take that and they roll with that and they become better at it and they become that Paragon level, that's cool. But at the same time, if they show they're not interested in it, there's nothing I can really do besides give that help and give that just little nudge of maybe, hey, improve on this and become that Paragon level that you have earned through at least someone's eyes.
Okay. Real quick down the line, we're going to start over here with Garret. Is archery your favorite class?
It's actually weird, because I like archer. I like the specialty arrows in V8.
Is that a no?
Well, it depends.
Oh my.
For quest games, I like archer. For your average battle game, I actually like scout for the versatility.
Okay. Nim'Ruin?
Druid is my favorite class. I consistently play Ranger in combination with Avatar Nature. At all Kingdom events, I play Druid. Whether I get the credits in it or not is irrelevant. I'm not gonna own up to that. But I love Druid, and it's the only class that I play in major Kingdom events or any events that we have out here.
Bowlgod?
I love Wizard. It is my favorite class to play. I love the ability to just go out and kill 5 to 10 people before I die. I actually have way many more credits than I ever need in Wizard to be a 6th level, and I'll continue playing it just because it's one thing I really enjoy doing.
Rellik?
For me, it's actually a tie between Wizard and Healer, because I love to be able to go and support the team as a healer, keep them going and everything. But then also I love being able to go out, kind of like Bowlgod said, just kill people in masses, and then that's when you end up dying. But yeah, Healer and Wizard are my 2 top tier.
There seems to be a stigma that it's easier to get, I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. There is a belief or a discussion out there that it's easier to get Masterhood in a magic using class because it's that different compared to, say, Warrior, where it's a little bit more expectation of martial arts, martial skills. Thoughts? Do you see it? Is this the first you're hearing about it? Rellik?
I wouldn't say it's any harder. I think one of the reasons maybe that they see Paragon spellcasters as easier is because a lot of times spellcasters have to be the loudest, especially at events. You have to raise your voice. They have to hear you on the battlefield, screaming out your spells and everything. Whereas, like, if I'm an assassin and I'm coming up to you and maybe I don't think I'm going to kill you, I can just say, I step in the shadows. As long as you hear it, you know you're not going to be able to kill me. But people are supposed to hear the spellcasters. It's in the rule book. It's what's been taught. People 20 feet around should be able to tell that you're casting on stuff. And I think maybe that's why spellcasters get more recognition. But I wouldn't say it's easier. Anyone can be like, hey, that scout over there, they did an amazing job at being utility. They dispelled this. They tracked people here. They were able to hold a couple people up, things like that. It's all about helping people by going to their monarch, going to market, be like, this guy did this, and I think he deserves to be moved up to the next level.
Does anybody want to add to that?
Oh, that is that. I think the thing with the difference is the fighter classes are more the physical side, and the caster classes are more the mental side. And a lot of people don't see the mental preparation that casters have to do in order to do what they do on the field. It's a lot to remember all them incantations and keep them all in order. Especially with, you'll see a lot of them wearing the quarterback wrists and stuff now, but at the same time, it takes a lot more time for me if I got to flip that open every time and read the incantation off my wrist. So it's all in my head now. And with, like Garrett was saying about training, I'm constantly trying to learn new spells. Even after I became a Paragon, I'm still in the middle of trying to learn new spells and trying to improve on what I do. And I think that's what it takes to be a Paragon wizard or Paragon caster in general.
I'll go ahead and answer that too. Also, a lot of it, honestly, before V8 and previous versions, Warriors didn't really have any abilities. It was just how good you fought. A lot of it was the best stick won. V8 now is he who knows his class best wins. So you have Warriors that have abilities, they have stuff. So I'd rather see a Warrior who wears his armor, uses all his abilities and all that. He doesn't have to be the best fighter on the field. If he's using his abilities, that is a force multiplier. Archer, prime example. My class, straightforward. Hey, here's these arrows, this is what they do. That's it. But I have to take the field, I have to use those tactically. I have to choose my targets. I only have up to 8 arrows, 9 would look the part. I have to pick and choose who I'm going to take out, who's the threat, battlefield awareness, how can I support my team, and work it that way. So, just me being as an archer, just being out there being a great shot, isn't quite going to cut it. You have to know how can I swap this guy over to another team, and then that other team starts wrecking all of a sudden.
Nim'Ruin, did you want to add?
No.
Okay, so now I'll start with you for the next question.
No, great.
How important is Lift the Park to earning Paragon?
Oh, I think this was a big thing before my time. Well, I don't know. This is interesting for me because if someone goes out there with a druid or just with a tunic on and has a druid sash, but knows all of their spells and does everything correctly and still is able, and proven fact, if you move them to the other team, like what Garrett says, the team does well. Do you discredit that because he doesn't, or he's not what we consider a flurb, or doesn't have the best, the best gear? Do we discredit that, or do you acknowledge the actual skill level? On the flip side, some might say that if you're not dressed nice, then you don't care about your class. I'm kind of, I'm half and half on that. I think that your skill needs to be there, but I think your skill needs to be there is more important than dressing up nice, because that's my opinion.
So it's more icing on the cake,
Yes.
sounds like to you. Anybody else want to add to that, or Don's wrong? Or?
I actually agree with him. I think if you're more worried about your Paragon being based on your dress, are you really worried about your skill? I think I know people out there, when I look at them, I can tell what class they are just by how they're dressed. That's one thing, but to know somebody on the field and know that that's the wizard I want on my team, or that's the druid I want on my team, that's another.
Yeah, I think I have to say the same. I think if you're going to have a passion for your class, you don't have to be the stereotypical druid. You don't have to be a stereotypical archer, scout. But I think that it does help, because you want to raise the bar as a Paragon. Now, would that be a deal breaker for me? No, not necessarily, unless, but it is the icing on the cake, and I think the Paragons have a responsibility to at least up the ante a little bit in the class.
So, Rellik, here's a question for you. As a Paragon, do you have a responsibility to try and increase the numbers to grow your class?
I would say yes. There's always that you want to show that your class is good enough and it's not as hard, because as wizard, a lot of people like, oh, there's so many spells to learn, there's so many incantations and whatnot. It's like, it is, but if you show them how to break it down, it's not that bad. A lot of time people are interested. I tell them, just take a couple spells. Put your points in a couple of spells, learn those, and you'll find along the way, it's not that bad. And then a lot of people have done that for wizard or other spellcasters. They're like, you're right. If I take this one spell and I really learn it, you might only have that one spell that week, but you're going to learn it and you're going to be good at it. And then you can move on to another spell, and slowly you'll learn, and slowly you'll want to play, and you'll have more casters out there. You'll have more wizards, healers, any kind of class.
Good.
I think the important, especially with caster, especially when someone comes to me saying they want to be a new wizard, I usually get them to play with a single short so they have something they're comfortable with, they've already used. Force bolts to give them a feel for throwing spell balls, and a heat weapon or a shove so they get a feel with verbals. And explain to them after the game that all those things is very versatile. You can either go with spell ball heavy, you can go verbal heavy, or you can go stick heavy as a caster now. So it makes it that you can play that and customize that class to how you want. And it kind of encourages more people to want to be in that class and continue with it.
Okay. A lot of times seems to be one of a handful of conversations that show up every couple of months. Should Paragon or Masterhood Paragon be considered a 7th level? And if so, or do you think of it that way, does it deserve extra abilities, or would you like to see it with extra abilities? Garrett?
I know they used to do that in earlier versions. I don't think so. I think you've proven yourself. You're already good. You already can break a game if they're not careful. Why should I get something else that's going to make me more broke? Like, the last thing you want to do is give me more arrows or some other extra ability. It makes it harder to balance. It conflicts with V8. Very simplistic. I should look at somebody, see this flash, know exactly generally what they can do and can't do. And yeah, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I would say no. That's silly. That's it. That's silly.
All right. On that, a little bit more along the noble perspective then, do you think Paragons should be able to take formal apprentices, Master at Arms, pages, things of the like, a more formal side? Bowlgod?
I feel as long as it's not taking away from them teaching everybody else the class too. I feel an apprentice would be a very good thing for a Paragon. If you see somebody who you think is going to be exemplary in your class eventually, taking them under your wing and guiding them better would actually be helpful not only to them but to the class in general.
Nim'Ruin?
If you're talking about formal, I was actually an apprentice, quotation marks. And regardless of whether it's formal or not, if you're teaching others and you see that one spark in somebody and you think that can just learn the class and be amazing, then I think you should be able to apprentice them. Whether it's formal or not is irrelevant. As a Paragon, you should, in my opinion, be teaching your class and should be able to grow your class and make your class very just relevant on the field. So whether it's formal or not doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay, so let me throw this one in there. So is it important then to surround yourself or to make friends with Paragons to find a mentor? Or can you navigate along on your own? Rellik?
That's a yes and no in my opinion. You can go out on your own and you can teach yourself everything. Like, I didn't have any Paragon spellcasters per se at my park. I had a couple at other parks that I looked up to and looked at what to do. But a lot of the time, I had to put that dedication into learning the spells myself, learning how to do it all at my own field. But if you are somewhere where you're lucky enough to have those Paragons around, there's no harm in befriending them and finding like, okay, what has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? How can I improve on this? Do you think I've done this right? All that kind of stuff. So it's both a yes and no for me.
Garret?
I don't think you have to make friends with them, but I think it's a good idea to seek them out. A lot of times, like, because of my passion with archery, I'll see somebody off on the side of the camp start shooting, and I'm just like, the atrocity that is their technique. And I walk over and I start trying to help them. At FOF, it was very refreshing because the first time I had groups of people coming to me. And they wanted to come to me and say, hey, can you teach me archery? I want to learn to shoot. Before you know it, in front of my tent, I had an archery line of 8 people going. So I like the fact that, and plus it shows you have the, a little more, you want to learn, you want to know. It's one thing if I come up and be like, hey, give you some tips, and it's another thing, it's like, when you come, hey, can you show me something? What do you know? And I think that can help. And I do that regardless. You don't have to be buddy-buddy. You don't have to come over and brown nose with me.
I agree. I don't think you should seek them out as friends. But if you're trying to improve in your class, even if your goal is not to be Paragon, you should be getting a hold of the Paragon people and getting to know what they know, especially if it's somebody who's seen you play, to maybe get tips on how to tweak your game a little bit.
Nim'Ruin, did you spend much time studying the other classes in order to become a better druid?
It's important to know at least the fundamental basics. I mean, majority of the classes that you're going to have to learn extensively is more than likely the magic classes. The other classes have skills, you know, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, 5, 6. You need to understand at least the basics for you to know when you're fighting against somebody what they can do to you and what you can do to stop them. So you have to take that into account. Yes, you should.
I agree with that, honestly, especially as a wizard. I spent undedicated a lot of time to learning the other classes, and that way, like he said, I knew it. That way I would know what I could do to them and what they could do to me and what I had to worry about with them. Not only that, as a wizard, it also helped me know, okay, if he's going to true grit, I know I can go over and shatter him. So I'll buy shatters and I'll save him for that guy that I really think is a threat on the other team, and that's where I'm going to use them, or how I'm going to handle a monk if a monk starts to come at me, things like that. I think it's important to know those things in order to move on and keep yourself alive. And also, another thing, even as a caster, a lot of us don't think about fighting that much, but I think learning block strike and learning to be able to handle yourself, because you get rushed a lot. So being able to defend yourself long enough for your team to come up and help you is very important.
Rellik, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with them. I know I spent time learning the other classes because I wanted to know what kind of abilities they had, especially moving from V7 to V8. I wanted to learn, okay, monk can now do this, assassins can now do this. What can I do with my classes that help push it to that next level? Like one big thing, monk was immune to verbals. So as a healer, if I wanted, say, use summon dead, I now have to get close enough I can touch them because they're not immune to touch. Now I can bring them back, say if they went to the respawn, now I can resurrect them. That assassin that just stepped into the shadows, can I push them out of it? Oh, okay, I have spells to push them out, I have spells to destroy them in there. All that kind of stuff helps learn, and not only that, it helps make the game cleaner when you can go, okay, I just did this, and this is how this affects you because you had this ability and I had this one.
Okay. Going to go back to the focusing on the award a little bit. What are your thoughts? Do we need, or would it be better if we had something comparable to a circle of knights, but it would be a circle of paragons, like what was discussed at last year's claim? Garrett?
I don't think it's a bad idea necessarily that we get together, and sometimes there's dirty little secret that we'll see somebody up and coming, and we'll go, hey, go test this guy. Let's see what he's good at. Let's see. We'll put a hard counter against him, like a wizard on a druid, and be like, so if that wizard can just, and if the druid can still do the wizard and whatnot, then we'll start looking at that. I don't necessarily think it needs to be a straight formal as COK, because I think it is an award. I don't mind the new thing like we've done with the Kingdom Guild Masters, getting the recommendations and sending that up through. That way we have a single point of venture. That way the Paragons can at least look, and that cuts down on the part where people feel that so-and-so didn't deserve it.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit for anybody that's not familiar?
Crystal Groves, we just, with the Kingdom Guild Masters of whatever class, for example, Kingdom Guild Master of Archers. So if somebody thinks that somebody did, there's an archer who's doing really good, he's really good, and we really think he should get it, I would get the recommendations. And usually, Archer's a small class. If I know somebody's up and coming, and I'll keep an eye on them, I'll watch them, evaluate them, just like I think any of these would. If they hear, hey, so-and-so is really good, you should go look and check them out. And then we and then we'll talk, and they're like, all right, yeah. And we think this person's good. And sometimes we'll go up and help them. We'll go up there and say, all right, you're doing really good. Do this, do that. We'll feed them some tips.
Okay. Does anybody else do that? Look for up and coming in the same class and challenge them like Garrett did, or let alone mentor them, but by finding the hard counters? Anybody else take that kind of approach?
I not only challenge them and see what they can do, I also talk to the other Paragon wizards that I know and kind of point them out to have them watch them too. I really think the Circle of Paragons would actually be a good thing because it would not only make it so that we're seeing the same people and we're all trying to catch the same people, and it brings people to our attention that we're not looking at anyway, but it also helps us to understand what each of us are looking for to become the next Paragon, and it makes it that much more clean, so to say, that if a circle of your peers are deciding that this is where you need to be, then where's someone else going to argue with that?
Nim'Ruin?
I noticed that in Amtgard here, we like to make everything formal. A Guildmaster of Reeves, because I'm the Guildmaster for Druids, right? We do the Paragon we do a Paragon talk. If someone comes to me with a recommendation for a Druid, I will reach out to the other Paragons and ask them what they think. If I'm like, who? And then I'll be like, okay, well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not Paragon. That means I need to actually reach out to the area that he's in and speak to the people that he plays with. And not necessarily the park that he plays with, but also wait until I can see him at a Kingdom event, stuff like that. But I will reach out to the Paragons and ask for their advice. I think that's important. So I kind of think we do that already. They just want to put a formal name onto it, which, whether it's formal or not, I'm still going to do it that way. It just makes sense to me.
Well, and I'll tell you, obviously, I'm new back to the East Coast, not familiar with it. I'm not sure everybody's always aware. Not saying that formalizing would do it. It may not be so much as, maybe more about ignorance. We don't know there's a process, so maybe someone wants to implement a process. So to be honest with you, I think even this has been beneficial to people that may want that, they may be seeking a process, having faith or knowing that there is a process, because it sounds like you guys take it, more seriously than I assumed.
Oh,
to be
yes,
quite honest
we
with you.
definitely take it
That,
seriously.
I think that will change some mindsets a little bit, maybe answer the call for formal, like, there is something out there.
And I think it's important too because Paragons, you get a Paragon, yeah, it's a title, but you would still want to be respected by other people. You don't want to be, oh, that's that Paragon archer that took 6 shots to kill an unarmored assassin. It's kind of like you want respect with the other Paragons who are your peers. So I think that's rather important.
Okay. Anybody else?
I don't know if we need a formal one like they're saying, because just outside before this, me and Bowlgod were discussing about some of the wizards here and about who to keep an eye out for, who we saw or maybe even observed really picking up the game on the field with what they were doing. So it's already something that, like Nim'Ruin says, it's happening at a, I guess, informal level, you would call it, but it is there.
The only thing I see about formalizing that would improve anything is when you have people who are saying, did that person deserve it? That's the only place that I think making it informal, because like Rellik was saying, and like Nim'Ruin and like Garret had said, we already do this. It's something that when I see somebody, I talk to other Paragon wizards, I see what they think. And I've noticed other Paragons do it with their class too. So I think it's more of a, when someone gets it, there's always that someone that everybody's like, I can't believe they got that. So I think if there was a formal thing, that would be the only thing that would knock out.
Okay, I'm gonna ask one more awards-like question, and then we'll find something a little bit more into the meat about how to become a Paragon. Obviously, Paragon is the most predominant award that we recognize for battle game participation and skill and success, specific to battle game. Recent conversation's been, and again, similar to the other one, it comes up every couple of months, 5th belt. Do we need a 5th belt for excelling in the skills that it sounds like you guys are focusing on? Rellik?
I've actually never heard of this yet.
You should be on Facebook more.
But that is definitely interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I would go with yes, that there is that need for that kind of belt. And the reason I would say that is because for some people, battle games are their big thing. You have the people that focus on the tournaments, and that's how they get their sword belt. You have people that focus in the service areas, and that's how they get their flame belt and all. For some people, battle games is what they love. That's what they do. And I think if they help raise the bar of battle games, and they help, they're getting people in like better garb, they're getting people to know their abilities and all, and they're showing to the general public along with fellow Amtgarders how fun battle games can be, then they're doing a service to Amtgard like anything else. So I would say yes.
Anybody else want Nim'Ruin?
Yeah.
See it.
You're talking about the elusive Knights of the Storm, aren't you? I read over that. I saw all the opinions. Do I think that it should be? I don't even know how they would set that up. Would it be Paragon level 1 up to all the way to Masterhood of Paragon? That kind of sounds silly to me, but I think that the way our structure is now with the Knights, each belt line, in my opinion, has a certain addition to the game. I want to say, like Sword Knights. A lot of them are pretty famed. They bring a lot of people out that want to fight. They encourage traveling, the same with Serpent Knights. Flame Knights pretty much run all the events. Crown Knights are our leaders. But to say that Paragon should be a 5th belt is a bit excessive for me. I think that Paragons should be the heroes in the battle games. But there's more to Amtgard than just battle games, and I wouldn't say that.
Please.
In my opinion, I don't think we need a 5th belt, and I'm going to get tarred and feathered. I think we need this. It should go more in line with Sword Knight. Because right now, the only way you can get a sword knight is getting a tournament. Like I said, I'm going to be tarred and feathered.
Oh Lord.
But you're talking two completely different skill sets. I've been at SCA for 10 years. You only get knighted for fighting. I've seen guys, they're what are called tournament knights. They're only good in tournaments. You put them on a battlefield, they get smoked all day. It's two totally different strategies of battlefield awareness, tactics. There's a lot of things you can try to do in a tournament that you don't have time for that will work on a battlefield. So I would like to see them loosen up Sword Knight if you want to go that way with the battlefield prowess. Will it ever happen? No, but that's just my opinion. I don't think we need a 5th belt. I think it's too convoluted. And like I said, it's a slice of the game, but I don't think it's a big enough slice to warrant that level of recognition.
Okay. Bowlgod, did you want to add anything?
I really think it's not a matter of a 5th belt, but maybe finding a way to work it into one of the other 3. Maybe into A&S, maybe into, because as Rellik was saying, what Rellik was saying was more to me like a service to Amtgard by growing your class. So maybe somewhere in there. But I couldn't see adding a 5th belt, honestly, because not specifically for that.
So,
Wait. Can I say something? Okay. How would, okay, I understand what you guys are saying with the Paragon adding into a belt, but that makes no sense to me at all. At all.
Well, it's not
There's a
specific. You have to be a
panel
Paragon to
of
be a
multiple
knight.
factors,
It's just loosening things up a little bit to where it's not, you must win these many fights. You must do,
But if that was
kinda
the
think
case
we'll
and
open it up a little more.
you wanted that, because you already said it was a title, you wanted that to be more formal, then you might as well just make a formal circle of Paragons so the title is more prestigious. That's my opinion. But okay, I understand, but I'm okay.
no, and it's good conversation. If nothing else, I mean, conversation itself doesn't hurt. I'm sure we all-
I love you guys.
I
love you guys.
I totally
I love you guys.
understand.
Lord.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I agree that a 5th belt's not necessary, but to me, with the aspects of what Rellik was talking about, it's building the game, and it's more like along leadership than anything else. I said service, I really should have said leadership. Because when you're going out there and you're building, you're actually taking people under your wing and you're guiding them.
Depending on the aspect and what they bring
Yes.
to it, I think that's a really good point. So on that, what do you think about giving someone Paragon title before they reach 6th level? Rellik. One of the best parts about this, I have no idea if I'm walking in on some of these questions.
Can I answer this first? I got.
I guess I should have asked when you got yours. But anyhow, Rellik.
I would not give someone their Paragon before they're 6, only for the simple reason you might not know your abilities at that level. If you got a 3rd level person and they're like, oh, we're going to make you a Paragon, okay, you're halfway through. How well do I know you're going to be at the other half of it? And I just would not think of doing it. That doesn't even cross my mind.
Okay. Nim'Ruin.
Okay, I think you did this on purpose.
Somebody did.
to somebody did. I got mine at the 5th. I got my 6th level 2 weeks after. I was right there. For most of the events, they're 6th level anyways. At least I played it. Nobody ever said anything to me.
Wow, you just made me break it.
Yeah, I did. I did break the rules. I wanted to play 6th level, so I paid. So I played.
Everyone's a 6th level. Paragon tip number 1: assume everyone's a 6th level.
No, please continue.
I'm sorry.
This is gold.
Do I think that it should have it? I think this comes to one of those sparks again. If you serve under or I want to say if you are apprentice, quote unquote, under a Paragon, and they see you worthy of that, and you have massive amount of people putting you in for the recommendation from kingdom-wide, not just from one park, kingdom-wide and from other kingdoms, I think that should definitely take into consideration that. Because I don't see anyone who can wreck a field at level 5 not doing it at level 6. I mean, they're obviously not getting weaker. If they do, that's a problem with the game, not the person.
Well, before I continue, shame on you. You know that.
With what?
With playing at a higher level than you would have probably obtained. You
Yeah,
don't have to harp on it, but shame on you, sir. Now,
not a sir.
you got a couple moments. This is your chance to, in closing thoughts, perspectives, anything you want to foot stomp, anything you want to harp on, any last minute thing you want to throw out there, this is your shot. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first, why not? My thing is just if you want to be a Paragon, try to get to where the other ones are so they get to see you. Try to come to events so they can see you. Have fun with it. That's the most important part of it. A lot of people are in a rush right now to get awards and get titles and stuff, and to me, the journey to get to there is the fun part. And if you're pushing to get there really fast, you're missing all the points that it took to get to that place.
Nim'Ruin?
I think that when you go to Kingdom events, Paragons should play their Paragon class, because you do get rusty when you don't play them. You do. You forget some things. I'm not saying that you can never play another class at a Kingdom event, but I mean, it's just better. It's good for people to know who the Kingdom Paragons are. And if you have multiple Paragons, wear all the sashes. Apparently breaking the rules is my thing, so just do that.
Rellik?
Have fun with what you're doing, and don't be afraid to try new things and be unique. Like, if everyone's running one spell list, everyone's doing one type of build with their assassin, their what kind of abilities they use first, don't be afraid to be the person that's doing something different, because you might open up a new way of doing something that can be just as good in a different way. And don't be afraid to like kind of RP with your class if you want. I've seen people like, well, am I allowed to wear armor as a mage? I'm like, you can wear armor as a mage if you want to be like, that warrior mage on the field. If whatever's having fun for you and makes you want to be more involved, then I think it's the right thing, and that's all what Amtgard is about, having fun for you.
Garret?
I say follow your passion. Find the class you're passionate about. That's why I only play bow classes. I love archery. I would run around today scout with a hand crossbow because it was more of a challenge for me. Follow your passion. Learn the class. Learn all the dirty little tricks you can do to the class. Figure out, it's great. The class is greater than the sum of its parts.
Well, Ben, I really appreciate you taking the time out today. I can honestly admit that probably of all the panels, and like I said, this is 13 or 14. I gained a lot out of the Paragon, probably more so than most, because there seems to be almost this undercurrent or culture of Paragons that I had no idea existed. So thank you for enlightening me. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and perspectives with everybody else. And again, for taking some of your time away from the battle games and tournaments today to talk to us a little bit about what it is to be a Paragon. So thank you, and if everybody would just join me in a round of applause for our panel members. And enjoy the rest of your event. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Hi, Goldcrest here from Amtgard Leadership University. Thanks for taking the time to watch our video. Please do us a favor, we'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and leave us a note by leaving a comment below. If you'd like to hear about new and upcoming events we've got going on, make sure you hit the subscribe button while you're here as well. Then jump over to Facebook and find us at Amtgard Leadership University, and that way you can keep up to date with our latest releases and the events that we're going to be visiting. If you'd like some more information about leadership and service in Amtgard, you can also visit our friends at Crown and Flame. You can find them online at crownandflame.com or on Facebook, also at Crown and Flame. Lastly, if you just want to hear more about Amtgard and the live-action role-playing game, make sure you swing by amtgard.com. Thanks again for watching the video.